If you could start off by introducing yourself, maybe telling us a little bit about Tim, where you live, how you got into the arts.
Okay, my name is Tim Cortes, and I'm what I'd call a commercial illustrator living in Duluth, Minnesota, which is real close to the Canadian border. And I got into this business coming out of art school. I went to college initially to be a college hockey player at the University of Minnesota, and after a couple of years of that. Um, I decided I was getting a little old. I wanted to move on with things, so I transferred to art school, which was a very big twist in my life. It turned everything just on its ear. I didn't fit in real well at art school, and it may have been because I was a little bitter about hockey at times still. But I definitely had my challenges at art school with the professors and the other students. It didn't work out that well. So how I got into what I do now is a lot of my friends who stayed with hockey ended up playing in the National Hockey League and winning Stanley Cups and things like that. And they knew of me, and they knew that I was an artist, and they wanted to celebrate those things and those achievements in their life. So they would call me up and say, "Hey, you want to do a portrait of?" We just wanted. I've even designed a couple tattoos that were Stanley Cup oriented. So with that, I just stayed in the sports art realm, and people kept hiring me for different things, different events, people being inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame, that kind of thing. Everything just piggybacked on everything else. And then the one where I really learned to do what I do is back in 1992 in Minnesota, we had every sporting event in Minneapolis. We had the Super Bowl, we had World Series, the Stanley Cup, the Final Four for basketball. I think the U.S. Open for golf was in Minneapolis, and all these little pop-up shops opened up all over downtown Minneapolis, and one of them was a sports art gallery. So I went and applied. I said I would like to do, I would love to work with you guys. This was when I was still in art school, but I wasn't working in color at all. And they said, we really want you to work in color. So I went back home, found out, looked through all my supplies. I had a bunch of dried up paint. That was not going to be any good. I didn't have any money to go invest in a bunch of stuff, but I had a set of colored pencils that somebody had given me as a gift of personal colored pencils. 35 years later, that's all I've used in my entire career is Prisma colored pencils. Now I'm starting to branch out a little bit into some watercolor and things. But yeah, I found it and I stuck with it, and I stuck with the sports theme for a lot of years, and I really took it a lot of different places. I've been very lucky that way.
That's amazing. And you got most of your work through word of mouth, you're saying? Yeah?
Almost 100% of it, yeah. I will. It's always piggyback on everything that I do. Now, each each piece of work is different. It has a different contract. I'm dealing with different people. They want different things out of it. It's my job to go in there and negotiate the deal and then do the artwork. They're hiring me for the artwork, but I have to also put together the deal that makes sense for me. And I haven't always been great at it too. Sometimes you get stars in your eyes and you'll give stuff away. You got to try to avoid that. But yeah, it's there's always something there waiting. Like I always try to have at least 5 projects in the hopper ready to go. Whether those are little portraits for people, for friends and family, or bigger ideas that I have, or that somebody will pitch to me. I get a lot of people pitch me ideas. So it's a really wonky way of going about a career, but I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
I think
Yeah.
this is a really great example of somebody who found their niche. Like you found your niche, your thing, and you stuck with that thing and you became known for that thing. And
Yeah.
That's just, there's so much power in that. And there's a lot of artists I know that listen to this that haven't quite found their thing. So I think this can be really inspiring to them because a lot of artists hear that, oh, you get a lot of word of mouth business. So like, ah, great. How am I going to get that? And I think the answer to that is sticking to one thing. And even like with colored pencils, you've stuck to your one thing and got really, really good at it.
Yeah.
You use Prisma colored pencils?
Yeah, Prisma colored pencil. I've tried other ones, and there's some good ones on the market. But for what I do and the way that I actually physically create they work the best. The kind of waxy feel that I can blend, and for what I do, it really works the best for me. But going back to what you said about doing what you know, there's a lot of people up in northern Minnesota. This is hunting country up here, duck hunting, deer hunting. Everybody's always asking me, why don't you do federal duck stamp stuff? And I said, hey, because that's not what I do. That's not where I spend my time. My time is spent at home creating or at the hockey rink coaching. So I've been able to take those two things and really make a career out of it. You really have to stick with what you know, unless you're ready to do a lot of studying, in the work that I do commercially, accuracy is everything. Some of the jobs that I've had, like I did one for the Minnesota Twins, the guy who hired me, the GM for the Minnesota Twins, was an absolute nut job when it came to historical elements of that team. He knew every letter on every patch on every jersey of every year. So as a result, I did 3 6-foot murals of their World Series appearances that are now in the new stadium that they have. And the redos I had to do just to get to the final version it was unbelievable. But accuracy is everything. When people try to go out of their element and just if you do something in the sports world like a football pitcher and you have something inaccurate, like the wrong face mask on the wrong helmet, that's the only thing a person's going to see. That say you're doing a portrait of somebody, they're going to say, oh, I never wore that, I never did that, and then it's a fail. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to know what you're doing and what the subject that you're creating for people.
So true.
Yeah.
The importance of accuracy. I'm such a like fly by the seat of my pants artist, and I think several other people are. Like, so do you create a sketch first to make sure it's exactly what they want, or what's your process like to get it super accurate?
I try to avoid that because I don't like to add costs. But if a client really wants that, just to be comfortable, I'll do it. I'm not doing it for myself because I know where I'm going right from the start with stuff. But if it makes them feel comfortable, I'll do the sketches. And a lot of times I've sold those sketches at auction and stuff. Those are really rare pieces. That's truly one of one. The design, like the Twins project that I did. Like I said, he had me do so many sketches, and he had red marker notes on them, and I did. It was me and the GM going back and forth. Well, to a Minnesota Twins fan, that was gold to have his personal notes, and so we sold some of those at auction for a lot of money. There's value in that stuff.
Oh, wow. I hadn't really thought of that. The sketches behind it.
People should always hold on to their sketches.
Yeah, because it's it's kind of like a memorabilia kind of a thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
People love their sports.
Especially in the sports, yeah. I mean, there's people, when it comes to professional teams, they'll lob on to anything that they can afford, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've never been tempted to go and try hunting art or any other kind? You're like, nope, this is my lane?
No, that's not necessarily. To be clear about that, what I do pride myself on with my work is I can shift. I can do portraits. I can do architecture. I can do different elements of whatever. I'm very adaptable to what the client wants. If a guy comes to me and wants a picture of him and his son hunting, I can do that. I'm just not going to go into the competition world of that, like the federal duck stamp kind of thing, because it's not where my interests lie. You know what I mean? I would rather, for instance, in 2021, I want to branch out more. Like I said, everything that I've done in my career has been private commissions for private people, for private institutions. Not a lot of printmaking involved, some, but not a lot of it. A lot of it was one and done kind of thing. And my goal is to find a different market in some of the stuff that's interesting to me outside of sports, like Western art. I'm really fascinated with Native American subjects. So that's what I'm trying to branch out into that world, and that's all new for me to go try to find a publisher and see who's interested. I'm really throwing it out there more than I'm used to. I'm used to being just fine at what I do with the sports stuff. To go out and see if people like my Western stuff, or I do a lot of skiing art, to see if people really like it is a little daunting to me after this many years of my career. But I want to do it. I would feel like I didn't accomplish something if I didn't go try.
Yeah, yeah. And I could imagine myself maybe getting a little bored of it. It's funny how, like, when things come pretty easily, you're a little bit less interest is there,
Yeah.
and especially after you do it for so long and you need a challenge. Are you that type of person? Because I am. Once something starts to become easy, I'm like, what else can I challenge myself at? Maybe I should try this or that. That kind of sounds like what's happening. Also, do you have a bird in the back? Is that a bird chirping?
Yeah, that's my daughter's bird. My daughter's off at college at Montana State. So we've collected all of her pets and her boyfriend's pets too. We had a
Oh,
turtle, we have a hedgehog, we have a bird, 2 dogs, we had horses. All of this was from my daughter, not being able to take them to her dorm. Is it distracting? I can't really do anything.
that's okay. We'll try to edit it out, but if not, then I'm sure people will understand that that's just life. So
Okay, you know what? I can have my wife take. Can you take Birdie in the other room? Thanks.
do that.
Okay. She's got it. She's good. She's good with the animals. So.
We've got this. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
This has been challenging for you, huh?
it's okay. Yeah, well, I love a challenge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so this is so it seems like it's kind of a, like, you're on to the new challenge. And how is that going? Are you getting a response from that? How long have you been trying to do something new like that?
Well, I mean, I've been in between my commission work. I've been trying to throw in a personal piece for myself, having to do with the skiing or the Native American stuff. I'm almost there with it. After researching a lot of these galleries, they want to see a body of work. They don't want to see me come out with one piece and say, what can you do with this? They want to see that, okay, we can do something with these 7 pieces, and then we have a history. We can have a history, and they want to be confident that I can be able to still kick out work after those 7 pieces. So I want to, maybe it's an excuse for me to just make sure I got all my eggs in the right basket, But I'm real close to really reaching out to see who's interested in it, and I'm going to have to be ready for some rejection, which I'm not used to. So.
Oh, let's talk about that for a second, because yeah,
Yeah, I
you
was
made
used to
a
it in art school. I got used to it in art school, but made me feel like I never wanted it again. So.
yeah, because and now you've been in your career for so long and doing so well for so long that you really haven't heard a lot of no's here recently. So
No, I don't know that I've heard any no's, and that's that's good. I mean, I think one time I think I did a picture of Mickey Mantle for a client out in New York, and I really liked it, and he didn't. And I think I got upset and said, "Well, I'm not doing it for you. If you don't like," I think that's the only confrontation I've had. And so I gotta make sure that when people say it's not for them, that I handle it in a professional manner. I can be a little hot-headed sometimes.
Well, I think that's everybody's first reaction, like, and
Yeah, it's
our
personal.
yeah, it is because like we spend so many hours on it. What I try to do sometimes is I'm like, I'll look at something, and if I want to respond to it in a mean way, I'll just look at it tomorrow and then respond tomorrow when
Well,
after it's
yeah,
had
you're
time to
way better
cool
than me
down.
that way, then. I have a knee-jerk reaction. Well, and with the artwork that I've created, I've well over 4,000 pieces in the last 30 years. Most of that was not real personal to me. You know what I mean? I was following orders and just doing what the client wanted, knowing what they wanted. I've never had a real big attachment to holding on to my originals. I usually try to sell those with the package. But when I do this stuff with the Native American stuff and the skiing stuff, that's way more personal. So I got to be able to, and my wife is good for this, saying, hey, you put yourself out there. You got to be ready for not everybody to like it because it's not everybody's taste, I can't please everybody. And so I just got to be able to handle that when it comes.
So
And
true.
it will.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think a lot of artists are going through that now or have. I know I have because I remember I wanted to paint with glitter for the longest time
Uh-huh.
and I told myself no because I knew several people around me that would be like, no, that's for children. And I finally started painting with glitter and I've gotten an amazing response by it, but a lot of people don't like it. And so it's just getting that thing in my mind of like, it's fine. It's fine. They're just not my people. So
Yeah,
I'm,
I saw your clouds that you did. Those
oh
had glitter, right? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah.
had lots of glitter.
You're doing what you want to do, and I love that. And you look like you're having a lot of fun at what you
Yeah, for sure. But it makes me feel better knowing that other people have the same problem too and just
do.
talking about the fear of the rejection.
Sure. I think that goes with all artists, all creative people. You know, my son's an engineer, a civil engineer, and he still deals with that. Well, you don't like what I designed, or you don't. I don't think he's so early in his career; he hasn't really dealt with any rejection yet. But it's a personal thing, no matter what. If it's music, if it's acting, art, whatever.
Yeah. Because we all have different tastes, we all have different everything. And so I guess it just comes down to finding your people. How are you planning to find your people with the African American art?
Oh, you mean the Native American stuff?
Native Americans, sorry.
Yeah, that's I have a lot of leads on galleries out in Western United States, out in Park City, Utah, and Vail, Aspen, places like that, where I can take both the Native American stuff and the skiing stuff and maybe branch out together because they're certainly not two subjects that are tied to each other. Usually galleries want, okay, this guy does this and this is what he does. Well, I got a lot of stuff I want to do. So we'll try it in different galleries. I mean, we'll just see. There's a lot of people, a lot of friends that travel out that way and say, boy, if you would just bring it out there, there's just nothing like it. So we'll have to test that theory when I'm done with my portfolio.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're using your current connections to grow your new niche kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And I think for artists just starting out, that's a really good idea. Even if they haven't created art yet, right? You use
Yeah.
your connections, like your friends hired you first, and I'm sure like
Absolutely.
somebody's mom hired you for things like that.
Yeah.
And
The other thing I would say along those lines of finding clients and getting to know people is a lot of, and with your experience at art school too, artists like to be these very individual, sometimes hopefully I'm not offending people, but kind of mopey,
Yeah.
own world kind of. You can't, if you're going to go try to be a professional and do different things, like I've been able to do for completely different types of clientele, you got to be able to talk to people and be a professional and realize it's not just about, nobody's hiring you because of the way you feel about your art. If that makes sense. They hire you in the commercial world anyway. What can you do for us? We saw what you did for them. We want you to do the same thing. We don't want to know how you do it. We don't want to know how you feel about it. We just want you to do it. And we'll pay you this amount of money to do it. So it's a little bit of a cold process if that's what you want to do. Now, if you're getting into the fine art realm, then it can be a little more personal, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so true.
Well,
It's like,
you got to put away the attitude. I've had a lot of guys, a lot of friends try to go into the sports art realm and just couldn't get past themselves because they were beyond reproach. And, well, their careers ended very quickly.
so true.
So,
There is a balance with it's an art business and it's
yep.
my passion. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there definitely is, and I totally get how you think art students are kind of mopey and like we were talking about earlier. You had a hard time fitting in college, as did I in art school,
Yep.
because like you mentioned, mopey, and I came in, I was like, "Hi, I'm ready to paint today," and like very
Yeah, you're all
preppy.
bubbly. And
I know people were just like, and I was painting with like bright colors and fun things, and people were like, that's so commercial. Like,
oh,
that's just not unique enough. And I'm like, so for the longest time, I was like, maybe I am just kind of like a commercial artist, but I found that it actually works out really well on the business side of
absolutely.
it.
They can be purists as long as they want and be baristas at the same time. Sorry, any baristas out there. That's the way I feel about it anyway. That's been my experience with people. You got to be able to sit at the table, sometimes throw a suit on and go sit down with college presidents and coaching staffs and stuff. You have to sell them on what you do. They already called you into the office for a reason. They've seen your work. Now go tell them that you can get them what they need. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Without bringing yourself too much into it.
for sure. So, are you
Mm-hmm.
confident in situations like that, or because I know myself when I'm
Oh
when I'm put on the spot, I'm just like, oh, oh gosh, okay, I can do this. Like, what's your take on that?
yeah. I'm in my element when I do that, and like I said, it's usually with sports organizations, and I love meeting them, and I'm fascinated by their organizations. So it's a mutual, all right, let's see what we can do together kind of thing. The Notre Dame one was a lot of fun because they brought me down in the summer to show me the campus, show me the locker room for the football where they filmed Rudy and all that. And it was great. And then they brought me down for every home game too that season. So that was a great feeling all the way around. What they ended up doing with my artwork is I did a 6 foot long picture of the history of the program, and then they cut it up into 6 game day programs for each home game. So it was cool. So I don't mind. I don't mind meeting with people. I've almost always had a positive experience. I don't remember a negative experience, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of part of it. Yeah. Do you have a favorite
hmm
past project that you can think about?
Well, the Notre Dame one's one that sticks in my mind. The Minnesota Twins one that I did the murals of. I really like doing that too because I got a big reaction. The other thing that I'm really proud of is I did first time I ever did dogs. I did a picture of what we have up in Duluth is called the Bear Grease Sled Dog Marathon, and it's a 4 day sled dog race. And I did the 30th anniversary of it. Well, that made its way up to the Iditarod that year, and some people from the Smithsonian Institute saw it. And to make a long story short, it's now in the permanent collection of the Smithsonian.
Oh my
So
gosh, that is
that
so
was cool.
cool.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Congrats.
it's just something I did as a favor for a friend who was on part of this bear grease committee, and it ended up all the way out in Smithsonian. So, yeah, I'm pretty cool with that.
Oh, wow. Okay, wait. So you did it as a favor for a friend, and then it ended
I
up.
did it as a favor to a friend. He called me up. He was the head of the bear grease committee. He said, boy, we need something to celebrate our 30th anniversary, but the race is only like a month away. Can you do something next year for us to celebrate the year prior? I said, well, that's silly. Why wouldn't I just try to get something done for you now? No way. Could you? I said, well, let's give it a shot. And so we did, and people liked it, and they really liked it a lot. Got all the way out there. So, yeah, that's probably my proudest thing.
Oh, and I love that it
Yeah.
started as just a favor because in the art world, I hear a lot of people, and even I get to the thought of sometimes of, I need to be paid for my work. I need to,
Mhm.
a lot of people coming into it, they see people selling paintings and they think if they don't sell their painting, it's like wasted time and whatnot. So I love this example of something you're just doing what you love. You like your friend. You're just kind of putting stuff out there and big things happen from it. I know that some of my biggest projects have come from just a really, really small project that I just kind of showed up for and wasn't expecting much. And then it just explodes in certain ways you have no idea.
That's exactly what happened with this one. And he showed me I always work from photo references usually, especially commemorating things. He showed me some of the photography from this dog race. I said, well, if nothing else, I got to try to draw this for myself because there's such cool, beautiful pictures, of the dogs out in the snow and the sun so I was going to do it either way. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and I think that's where the best stuff gets made too, when like you're doing something you want. And I guess your friend probably wasn't really like dictating exactly what to do. You just saw an image you loved and
Hmm.
colored penciled it. Is that or drew it? I guess you should say. Sorry,
Really,
I usually
you know
say
what
paint it.
what they call them in the business, I guess, is colored pencil painting.
Oh,
Doesn't make much sense to me, but I call them drawings.
let's call
That's
them
what they are.
drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been experimenting with a lot of other new material, watercolor. Found this stuff called liquid charcoal. It's really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you
Does that
using
sound
that?
kind of wild?
Yeah. Are you using that on your Native American stuff or?
Yeah. There was a picture that was behind me downstairs that you might have saw. That was done with liquid charcoal and wash and watercolor, all different sepia tone kind of stuff to give it that older feel. So I'm trying to play with different things.
Yeah, I love it. Just kind of experimenting, just doing what you love. I think that's what I'm getting from this whole thing is you're doing something you love and you're making a career out of it instead of thinking, what are people going to buy? It's like, well, I'm just doing
Well,
what
I
I
still
like.
think like that a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's still there. I mean uh, I'm certainly at no point where I can just do whatever I want. That's for sure. I'll always be a commercial illustrator when with the jobs that are. It's it would be silly of me to turn that work away. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I still like it. I'm an athlete, and I like doing that stuff. So sometimes it gets a little old, but that's the same thing. Every artist feels like the grass is always greener on the other side, right? You get sick of what you're doing. I tell that to my friends or some other artists, and they're like, "What are you crazy? You're an athlete and you're drawing athletes. What's wrong with that?" And
so true.
it's, I need to branch out a little bit just to see where I can go into those other areas that I talked about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, logos are my thing to where like
Ah,
I like them. I mean, I really like doing logos, but that's like
so do I.
my make money thing. I'm like, yep, I'll do that. Like,
Yeah, I do a lot of that in between the big. Boy, all over Duluth, I have logos everywhere. My high school, all different companies. Yeah, I love it's a break from the really meticulous work and gets me into my imagination of, okay, I think I just did one for a lacrosse team, the Wolfpack, and I was really proud of what I came up with. But that's a totally different area. Again, that goes into, can you do different things besides just a portrait? Yeah, I can do this, 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 and this, and I
Oh,
love doing the logos.
do you design logos or you paint them on the wall?
No, I designed them.
Okay, I paint them on the wall. So
Yeah, yeah,
actually,
yeah.
I need someone to refer someone to. If you need some referrals, I'm always like, people are always asking me to design their logo, and I'm like, I don't do that. So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'll just,
but you will put it on their wall for them in their office, right?
yes, yeah. So I'll paint
Yeah.
it on the wall just about anywhere. So
Well, keep
that's
me in
actually how I
mind
got.
'cause I like
Yeah.
the design part of it. So,
Okay. Yeah, well, that's actually how I got started in the painting business was people were just asking me to paint their logos and I was like, okay, whatever. And then it just kind of went into
yeah,
clouds and glitter. So,
well, it looks great. I love it. Seeing the butterfly stuff that you've done is amazing.
oh,
So
thanks.
it's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks like freedom. I get a lot of requests to do murals in town, and I'm not set up for it. I have a friend who's in that business who's fantastic, and he does a lot of the local restaurants and stuff. And um, I have done. I This was kind of challenging. I got hired to do the for our local hockey rink. It was called what was it called? I forget the name of the project, but they wanted me to illustrate 7 or 9 different feelings or 9 different principles: honor, tradition, blah blah blah. And what they're going to do with it is I would do these 18 by 24 illustrations, but they blew it up to 35 feet by 20, whatever the dimension is. I'm like, oh, I don't know if we can do that. I thought it would be all distorted. Turned out it worked out great, and now I know that my little work can be blown up that big. You know, but to get up there on a ladder and do it, I don't think I could do what you do. I haven't
Well,
tried it, so I don't know.
well, I think the same thing about your stuff. I'm like, I don't know that I could be super, super detail oriented like you are too. I'm just like, let me paint this here and that there, and yeah,
Yeah. Well,
the bigger the better.
excuse me.
Yeah, so I guess we can move on to another question. Let's see what we have on there. Is there anything you don't like to paint without or create, draw without? A lot of people say music or a certain kind of paper
I
or.
have to have entertainment. I have to. I follow a lot of Netflix stuff, which seems weird because you would think you would need to watch it. What I'll do is I'll get on a show and I'll watch it 7 or 8 times, so I don't have to look at it anymore. I just listen. Like Game of Thrones, I think I've seen like 4 times
Oh,
the whole series. So that's my background. Music, of course, I have a lot of music. But yeah, when I'm settling in downstairs on a cold winter night up here in Duluth, I like to have my fire. I have a fireplace in my studio, and I like to set the atmosphere a
yeah.
lot. It's very important to me, and it's very important that I try to keep it as clean as I can. Now, my wife would say you don't keep it clean enough, so she'll go down there once a week and straighten it out for me, which is fine. Most artists wouldn't like that. It actually helps me a lot because when I'm organized and everything's right there within arm's reach, that's when I'm happiest, and I don't have to search for things. And
Oh,
yeah, I recently took over my basement since both my kids are out of the house now, and took over their rec room and made it my new studio. And I love it.
oh, so I love that you said that because I teach artists in the Artist Academy, and today's or this week's theme is organization. And so I love that you said that because it's so true. Because a lot of artists we're very messy, and I consider myself rather clean. But just like
Hmm.
you, my husband would argue otherwise.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
it is very important to have like everything kind of just set out where you don't have to search, and
yeah.
it helps with the creativity and just the progress of things going on. Is that kind of what you think?
I find it very important to have everything set up when I sit down to draw, because when I sit down to draw, it's going to be for hours at a time. And if I have to look for a piece of tape, I get frustrated. And if it's not right there, it'll just mess up my flow. And yeah, I like to have everything. I have I have a huge drawing table. It was one that was given to me from a friend of mine who owns a framing gallery. And I don't know if you know what a wizard is that cuts frames or cuts mats in a. Well, anyway, it's a humongous stainless steel table. And she got a new one, so she goes, "You want this?" I said, "Yeah, if I can fit it in my basement, I want it for sure. I can put 3 or 4 projects on there at one time." So what I have is I have that, and then I have like a mechanic's tool, the big tall ones they use in NASCAR and stuff with the drawers, where I keep all my stuff. I call it my cockpit, and I got my computer and everything over here, and then a desk behind me here for writing out my calendar and stuff. It's just a very specific setup.
Whatever works
I
for
gotta
you.
have, and I use a gaming chair. That's my chair. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing about me. I like to be organized that way.
Yeah, well, whatever works for you. You found what works for you after doing this for
Hmm.
so long, and just you're making it work. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so we have one more question for you.
Okay.
So a lot of artists who listen to this, they're just in the very beginning of their art career. They're not sure where to start. So what's a good starting point? Where should somebody who is just getting into it, what should they do? What's a good starting point?
Well, the first place to start is what interests you, and that's what you have to do. You have to see what interests you, what you like to do, with the idea that, okay, I'm going to be really good at this, so I'm going to be really busy with it, and therefore I have to like what I'm doing. Okay, because if you go out and do, okay, I'll take my friend Rob MacDougall for instance. I talked to him a lot, and he said, he's very good at caricatures, and as you've seen probably. And he said I did a Labatt's beer illustration at one point. He said I couldn't get away from the ketchup bottles with guitars. He said for years he was stuck in that commercial mode, which he didn't, so if you're going after something and you're not really pumped on the subject matter, be careful with that, because you could get pigeonholed into that really, really easy. Like I say, the one thing that's a bit of a curse about what I do is the length of time it takes me to create one of those big sports pieces. Okay? But that's not what I'm known for. So that's what people want. So it's a little bit of a curse that way. I mean, it's not a terrible curse. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sound like that, but you have to be very comfortable with the subject matter that you go after and that you want to make a career out of.
Yeah.
Make sure it's what you want to do.
Imagine, like, whenever you're painting something, imagine, like, would I be okay painting this for every day for the next month? I guess would be a good
Exactly.
question.
Go into it with the aspect that, you know what, I'm going to succeed at this, so I got to be happy with what I'm succeeding at. That
Yeah.
makes sense?
Yeah. Plan on being busy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
don't think enough people do.
No,
So,
definitely not. Well, thank you so much. That's a really great way to end this, and this is a great overall interview. I love all of your insight, and I'm so glad we got everything to work. I was able to
yeah,
hear you
I'm sorry about
perfectly.
the technical
Nope,
stuff.
it'll be perfect. And we're gonna edit all of it down into a podcast episode that will air next Monday. So just in just a week. So
Okay, so can I like advertise for it? Like, to my friends on Instagram and stuff?
Yes, I will send you an
My
email.
daughter was wondering.
Oh yeah,
So.
I will send you an email. Sorry, my cat keeps getting in the way.
Okay.
So I
We have one
will,
of those too.
yeah, there's just animals everywhere. I will send you an email actually next when it airs on Monday. So
Okay.
next Monday, it'll have all the links to all the things, and it'll have like a little short clip, and it'll have all the stuff for you to share.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much for coming on and taking the time out of your day to come chat with us.
Well,
I'm
thanks for
so glad
having
to
me. It's
meet
been
you.
fun.
Yeah.
And remember, with the logos, keep me in mind. I love
I
designing them.
I definitely will.
Okay?
Awesome. Okay, also one quick, what is your website so people can find you?
Oh, it's just timcortes.net. I just changed it. It was .com,
Mm.
but it's .net now.
Okay.
And
timcortes.net.
that's a work in progress. I don't use it that much, to be honest with you. It's all social media,
Okay.
really.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they can find you on Instagram at just
Tim
Tim
Cortes
Cortes.
Art on Facebook. Yeah, Tim Cortes. Yeah, Tim Cortes Studio, I think.
Okay.
One of
Awesome.
them.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. I will put it in the show notes to where people can just click on it and they will find you right away.
Okay. That sounds great.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your Monday. Thanks again. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Aria. We'll talk. Bye-bye.